So by now you have probably seen that things have changed for the Detroit Red Wings. We're talking about guys getting scrambled around. Lucas Raymond is a third-line player. Mason Appleton's on the fourth line. John Leonard is over here. It's interesting what's happening with Todd McLellan and his Red Wings, but in today's video, what I wanted to do was talk about a player on the Edmonton Oilers whose absence on this forward core seems to have opened up an opportunity for teams like Detroit to potentially get involved. We are talking about the latest on a very particular Andrew Mangiapane, courtesy of the fourth period, as this article was posted a few days ago. The latest on Mangiapane out of the Edmonton Oilers. David Pagnotta has the scoop, and this article is going to be linked in the description if you want to read it yourself. Take a look at the scoop over here. The Edmonton Oilers remain engaged in trade discussions with teams involving veteran forward Andrew Mangiapane. Mangiapane has been shopped around the NHL for the last couple of weeks, as first reported by the fourth period's David Pagnotta, after he and the team discussed a change of scenery. His first season in Edmonton has not gone according to plan, and a move is preferred. Oilers GM Stan Bowman has been fishing for a trade partner and is hoping to bring in a two-way type of forward as a deal. As Pagnotta initially reported, Mangiapane would prefer to move to a contender, but he is open to the quote-unquote best fit for him that allows him to get back on track and be given the opportunity to play consistent offensive minutes. The Anaheim Ducks, Detroit Red Wings, and Winnipeg Jets are just three of the teams that the Oilers are believed to have spoken to about Mangiapane's availability. In 40 games with the Oilers this season, the 29-year-old has tallied 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points and 32 penalty minutes. So that is the scoop out of David Pagnotta in the fourth period. Andrew Mangiapane, the Winnipeg Jets, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Anaheim Ducks. Now, when I think about Andrew Mangiapane, I don't think about the annoyingness factor that he had when he was a prime top 6 member of the Calgary Flames. I don't even think about the transactions over to Washington and inevitably Edmonton. What I think about when I think of Mangiapane is his Team Canada performance back in 2021, where in 7 games played, the guy had 7 goals and 4 assists for 11 total points at the Worlds. He was one of the most productive players at the tourney in general. Connor Brown was going out there and scoring a hell of a lot of goals. Connor Garland was going out there with some good point production as well, not to mention Liam Kirk out of Great Britain. What a nice story that was. Jason Robertson got outscored technically by Andrew Mangiapane. So obviously, there's a lot to like out of this player. He's 29 years old, 5'10", 183, a winger center, left-handed, and a guy who is making $3.6 million until the end of 2028. He is listed on Elite Prospects as a speedster, a two-way forward, and a workhorse. And that's a pretty good way to describe how this guy plays the game. He is a bullet. He drives down the wing, and he cuts into the middle. There's a really nice finesse to the way that Mangiapane protects the puck and forces his way into shooting lanes, before just simply outweighting a goalie or dangling him out. I don't really see Mangiapane as a player with a blistering wrist shot that's able to beat guys from distance, but he drives the net, he drives hard, and that's why he had scored 35 goals in one season back in 2022. He had 55 points that year as well. He's been pretty consistent, 55, 40-point guy. Last year in Washington, he had 28 points, 14 goals, and 14 assists. But Washington, as we all remember from last year, they were really, really good. Lots of production from all the guys at the top of the lineup. This season, it hasn't really gone his way. 11 points in 40 games, a minus 17. The Oilers aren't really doing all too hot, and for Mangiapane, he's a guy who has been out of the lineup. He did get healthy scratched. So, obviously, when things go into that territory, you're going to see the player get frustrated, and you're going to see reports like this that, hey, his first season in Edmonton has not gone according to plan, and he does want to move. This is where we start talking about some of the other teams. The Detroit Red Wings are a team that I think could definitely use Mangiapane and his speed down the wings. Honestly, if you take Michael Rasmussen and his frame and you add on Mangiapane's skill, work ethic, and pace, you might have yourselves a really good player there. These guys playing together might be able to do something interesting. Not to mention the rest of the lineup. If you have a Mangiapane alongside of an Emmett Finney, for example, there can be a lot of pace and tenacity that is seen on that sort of a line. Having Mangiapane alongside of an Andrew Kopp could bolster up the strength down the wings on his line, although who am I to say that when Kopp is technically playing with DeBrincat and Kane at the moment. Meanwhile, some of the other suitors over here, the Winnipeg Jets are interesting because this is a team that is absolutely down in the dumps. You have Connor, Scheifele, and Gabe Vilardi producing, and that's pretty much it. Nobody else is really pulling their weight, I would say. Mangiapane would add some extra speed and skill to this lineup, but then again, because they're so, I wonder if Mangiapane's presence would really give them the boost that they would want. If anything, I think Mangiapane going from healthy scratch over to consistent middle six player, obviously that's a welcomed change, but if it's on a team like Winnipeg that still can't find ways to win regardless, I wonder if that's really going to be the best fit mentally for a guy like Andrew Mangiapane. And then you have the Anaheim Ducks, who are listed as another team that has checked in on this guy. They're going through a pretty big slump right now. They don't even have a fourth-line right winger, according to dailyfaceoff.com. Leo Carlsson just came back. A lot of the guys that were scoring at a crazy pace earlier have kind of cooled down. Troy Terry has been a pretty good player, consistent, I would say. Leo Carlsson, of course, was good, amazing at the beginning of the year, but kind of fell off in terms of the top point-scoring race. Then you still have McTavish, you still have Seneca, you still have Cutter Gauthier. The Anaheim-Philadelphia game yesterday was obviously a fun treat to watch. But adding Andrew Mangiapane's pace, tenacity, and work ethic to this lineup, I'd say it's a pretty good fit for what Pat Verbeek wants out of his hockey players. In fact, I could say the same thing about Stevie Y. Taking guys that play with pace and that are just dogs on the forecheck whilst having a little bit of skill. Andrew Mangiapane is like a winger version of a best-case scenario Marco Kasper this season. At least if you're looking at the Mangiapane that was able to score 30-something goals a few years ago. Maybe not necessarily this, although you can say that this production, if a Marco Kasper gets this amount of points at the end of the year, it'd be like, yeah, no, that's fine. The guy was off to such a bad start to open up his point producing, so there can be some changes, there can be some mentorship to be had. Mangiapane is 29 years old, so obviously this is a player that has made his rounds. With that in mind, though, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How do you feel about the idea of the Detroit Red Wings, the Winnipeg Jets, and or the Anaheim Ducks being potential trade fits for one Andrew Mangiapane out of Edmonton? Thoughts in the comment section. How do you feel about this potential trade? What do you think the price could be? Do you think any one of these teams is the best fit for this player, or would you say some other team is more appropriately named? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.